There's a lot of information out there about mistakes home buyers make, but today I'll be going over some of the biggest mistakes I see my sellers making. As a realtor here in Central Florida for many years and having the majority of my business being with home sellers, I've seen my share of unforced errors or avoidable mistakes. I'll be sharing a couple other videos that may help with specific questions that you may have, and although these mistakes aren't listed in any particular order, the last one is the silliest mistake that I see sellers make that I believe is something that nobody talks about. So without further ado, let's start with number one. When I meet with sellers, I'm regularly asked if they should make certain repairs or upgrades to their home prior to putting their home up for sale. It's a loaded question and it's really property dependent. In general, I advise my sellers to focus on cosmetic repairs, things like painting and putting that magic eraser to work around the light switches. Dusting, cleaning windows, weeding, and remulching the landscaping can really have a big impact on the selling price of your home. However, there are times when major upgrades are in order. For instance, right now in Florida, many are struggling to obtain homeowners insurance when they purchase a home. If you've got a 20-year-old roof, most buyers won't be able to buy your home. And you may end up putting that new roof on later when you're forced to do so because nobody will lend on a roof without homeowners insurance. My advice is often to go ahead and get the roof put on before closing if you have the funds. If you don't have that kind of cash laying around, we work with some lenders that will install a roof before closing and receive payment from the proceeds of the sale. If you cannot sell the home at market value with an old roof, why not advertise a brand new roof and then you're turning that problem into a beneficial marketing opportunity? Other things like old electrical panels or old plumbing can have a similar impact. So be sure to ask your realtor if there are any upgrades with this sort of potential outcome for you. How about updating that kitchen or the bathroom? Don't do it. While it may look much nicer and it may well sell for more, the reality is that it's probably a poor return on your investment. I've got a whole separate video on 6 upgrades that add value to your home as well as 4 that don't. I'll include a link to that video towards the end of this video, or maybe I'll stick it in the comments section down below. Before we move on to the next mistake sellers often make when selling a house, if this is the type of information that you're looking for, then hit that like and subscribe button and click that little notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post other videos just like this. Also, if you're thinking of selling or buying anywhere here in Central Florida, either put a comment in the comment section below or just pick up the phone and give me a call. The second mistake sellers often make when selling a home is not doing your research before you're actually ready to put that sign in the yard. The sale of a home is a major financial point in the lives of most of us. There's a lot at risk. So take your time, do your research on what you think your home is worth. Just a few minutes on one of the major websites will show you how much your neighbor's home sold for and when it sold. Don't be concerned with what they're asking for that home down the street. It doesn't matter what they're asking. It only matters what they get. Then, when your realtor shows up, you'll at least have an idea. It's also a good opportunity to see if your realtor is on their game, or maybe they've got some insight as to your neighbor's home, well, why it may or may not be a good comparison. Those of you that have successfully sold homes in the past, have you hit the selling price on the dot? If so, let me know what happened in the comments section below. Having an idea of the general value will also help you when these iBuyer companies show up and make you some kind of amazing deal, leaving thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on the table. Number 3 is not hiring a realtor. Yes, I'm aware that realtors' commissions can be a lot of dough. I'm also aware that there are plenty of bad realtors out there. Rest assured, I see them all the time. It's also true that I'm a licensed realtor and I am paid well for my services. But the value of a good realtor should be evident in the net dollar amount of your home at closing. As such, don't fall for discount commission brokers or someone that says they've got some special smoke signals that they send up into the sky that draws in buyers like zombies or some other crazy story. However, I've seen all too often the problems left behind of wrecked transactions and title issues, not to mention the money left on the table from not using a realtor. I know that there are some that believe that they can sell their home without using a realtor, and I get it. I'll include a link to a great video that provides tips to sell your home without paying commissions. The next mistake I often see sellers make deals with poor staging or not staging their home at all. Now, in the market we've been in for the last few years as I record this, I haven't recommended staging very often. It simply hasn't been beneficial for most of my sellers as we work to get them the most money for their homes that the market will bear. However, things like removing clutter and cleaning up, like I spoke of earlier in number 1, is part of staging your home, and it's vital. I showed up to a beautiful home just this week with my photographer that was filthy. The front landscaping beds were full of weeds, and I'm not kidding you here, the vinyl fenced backyard had grass that was literally above my knees. Now, I made a couple phone calls and we dealt with those issues, but come on. If I hadn't addressed those issues, I can almost guarantee that this seller would have lost a couple grand for this simple oversight. There are times when actual staging can be helpful, especially in higher-end luxury homes, so be sure to ask your realtor for his or her advice here. Bringing in furniture to stage a home for potential buyers can be very expensive, but if that furniture costs you, say, $6,000 and it nets you an extra 10 grand on the selling price, I'd say that's a good investment. I spoke earlier about avoidable mistakes, and this mistake is one that I'd say causes more frustration for me than any other, when sellers simply overprice their homes. Now, I may get a bit technical here, so stick with me. I know I'm prone to rambling. Let's suppose that the magical price of a home at 123 Main Street has an appraised value of 300 grand, and it's been, for some strange magical reason, appraised by 5 different appraisers, and they all appraised at $300,000 as the value of that home. Now, if Mr. and Mrs. Seller list this home for, say, 325 grand, and then that home sits on the market for just 30 days, they'll likely end up selling that home for less, maybe $280,000 or $290,000. That's a loss of $10,000. Think about it. If you're a home buyer and you see the home that you're looking for, but nobody else has wanted it for this long, are you going to make an all-in offer on that home? I doubt it. I surely wouldn't. Homes are expensive, and if I can shave off a few $1,000s, hey, I'm interested. I'm probably offering $280,000 and then settling at that 290 grand. I get trying to get the most you can, but this is an example of something that I see quite often here in Central Florida, but I'm betting it happens all across America and the world too, probably. The next avoidable mistake I commonly see sellers making is not listening to the market once their home is actively listed for sale. When I spoke of sellers overpricing their home just a minute ago, the sellers simply wanted to get the most for their home, and I believe they're no different than you and me. However, had they been listening to what the market was telling them, they would have likely seen the lack of showing activity, which is often a huge indicator of a problem with pricing, especially when we're in a seller's market like we've been for the last few years. The market is usually saying something. You've got to listen carefully, but it's saying something. If a home isn't be showing, rest assured there's a reason. Maybe it's the price, maybe it's the location or condition that could be causing the home not to be shown. If there are showings, ask your realtor for feedback from the showing agents as to why offers haven't been made. Sometimes it's something the seller or the realtor have never even considered. Maybe it's the overhead power lines, maybe it's a dump down the street, or maybe it's just the pet odor. It can be anything. I'm currently working with an irrational seller whose home has been on the market for way too long. It's a nice 4-2 pool home that backs up to a small pond here north of Orlando. However, buyers that enter this home are regularly walking in and then walking right back out because of the awful pet odor. Yes, the flooring can be replaced, but the seller isn't having it. He's obsessed with how much new flooring would cost, but it doesn't matter. Many potential buyers simply aren't viewing his home. He's just mad at all those buyers that aren't making an offer on his home. The home is clearly outdated and it's clear the market is clearly speaking, but I'm afraid he's going to lose money if he doesn't wake up soon and make a change to either the flooring or an adjustment to his pricing. Firing this seller is a serious consideration of mine as I record this video. I'm just too busy to be trying to help people that don't want help. The next mistake is one that I'm always seeing, and I believe that it's an under-discussed problem amongst real estate professionals, and that is not negotiating when an offer comes in, even if it's a full-price offer. Now, I understand that sometimes sellers just want their home gone. They don't care about the details. But sometimes I'm making suggestions on a way to improve the offer, and my sellers don't want to do anything more. It's not always just the price either. Sometimes I can get the inspection period or the loan approval period shortened with just a quick phone call. But sellers are often afraid to negotiate, fearing that the whole deal would die. What sellers sometimes forget is that there's often a motivated buyer on the other end of that offer. I found myself practically begging my sellers to ask for more money or for better terms, just to be shut down out of fear. I've done this for many years, and I've made plenty of mistakes, but I'm not going to ask for something that I'm not confident that I can get from my seller. If you've sold a home in the past, what mistakes did you make that you're aware of? Realtors, what are some other mistakes that you've seen? I surely haven't seen it all, and I haven't touched the tip of the iceberg with all the mistakes that I've seen sellers make, but your insight is important here. If you're thinking of selling, if you have questions about the process or anything else, just give me a shout. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.